the Pooh.
By Disney Winnie the Pooh. Okay. Once each year there comes a most peculiar day. The dark grows darker. That's this time of year, huh, Apollo? The leaves rattle on the trees, and everything is a tad spookier. On this particular day, Winnie the Pooh was dressed like a bee.
Had it.
We did. We had Halloween, huh? This is Pooh's version, though. Winnie the Pooh was dressed like a bee, snacking on his last drop of honey. "Oh, Halloween," he chuckled. "Though I'm not fond of tricking, I do enjoy treating." Oh. A few minutes later, a skeleton bounced in. "Not late, am I?" asked Tigger, for that was who the bouncer was. Behind him were two Eeyores, the real one, who was wrapped in bandages like a mummy, and Gopher, who had dressed up like Eeyore. "Hello, Eeyore and Gopher," said Pooh. "Dag-nabbit," said Gopher. "You know it's me." He left to find a new costume. "Come on, Pooh," cried Tigger. "We'd better get a move on. But first we need to get Piglet." Pooh then replied. Piglet was putting the finishing touches on his costume when he heard a Tigger-like boo-hoo-hoo coming from his entryway. "Why, Piglet," said Pooh, as his friend hurried to greet him, "where's your costume?" "We've got to get Halloweening," said Tigger. Piglet stammered. He didn't really want to go outside. "While Piglet gets ready," said Pooh, "I'll try out my costume on our friends at the honey tree." But Pooh, Piglet said, following his friend, "perhaps it would be best," Pooh said as he started out the door, "if you didn't say my name. It might make the bees suspicious." But the bees knew exactly what Pooh was trying to do. They began to buzz angrily. Pooh and the others ran away from the honey tree as fast as they could. So Pooh thought dressing like a bee was going to fool the honeybees, and he wouldn't get stung.
It's because he's so big.
Yeah, the bees weren't fooled at all, huh?
Yeah, because the bees because the bees can see.
That's silly. That's silly bear. Nearby, Rabbit inspected his pumpkin patch. "Perfect," he proclaimed. Bzzz. Suddenly, Rabbit heard the bees. He looked up just in time to see Pooh, Piglet, Tigger, and Eeyore smash into his beautiful pumpkins. The bees flew away, disturbed by all the chaos. "Of all my favorite holidays," Rabbit sighed, "Halloween isn't one." Soon it grew dark, and Piglet hurried home. As he got into his costume, he realized he was just too scared to go outside. Suddenly, there was a knock at his door. Who's there?" he squealed. "It's me, them, us," said Pooh's sounding voice. "Pooh Bear?" asked Piglet. "How can I be certain it is you? Perhaps if you said something only you would say, then I'd be certain. How about I am Pooh?" "You are?" said a confused sounding Pooh. "Then who am I?" Isn't that silly, Apollo? Pooh was confused because Eeyore said he was Pooh. "It is you!" squealed Piglet, jumping out of his costume and opening the door. "Piglet," said Pooh, "will you be joining us for Halloween?" "I'm afraid I'm just too afraid," Piglet replied. "That's okay," said Pooh Bear. "We won't have a Halloween. We'll have a Hallow-wasn't." "Thank you, Pooh Bear," Piglet said, smiling. Piglet and Pooh explained their plan to Eeyore and Tigger, and with that, everyone went home. Alone once more, Piglet created lots of notes telling all the spookables and monstery beasts to stay away. They had to know what it was. A Halloweon wasn't at his house somehow. They had to know it was a Halloweon. Soon a storm began to rage outside. Pooh looked out his window. "I hope Piglet isn't too frightened," he said. "I suspect that something should be done. But what?" He tried to concentrate. "Think, think, 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 think," he muttered, and to no one's great surprise than his own, he did just that. "Just because Piglet can't have Halloween with us," said Pooh, "there's no reason why we can't have Hallowe'sn't with him." A little while later, Tigger was bouncing around when two figures opened his door. "Spookables!" hollered Tigger, tripping over his tail. The Spookables removed their sheets. It was Pooh and Eeyore. "We're on our way to Piglet's to have a Hallowe'sn't," said Pooh. "Would you care to come? We made new costumes since the other ones were torn in the pumpkin patch." "What are we standing around here for?" Tigger said, snatching a sheet. Bum-ba-da-dum-bum-bum. They'd almost reached Piglet's house when a tree branch snagged Pooh's bedsheet. Pooh wasn't certain he'd been clutched by the claw of a Spookable. "Help!" shouted Pooh. "Pooh Bear!" Piglet said, hearing Pooh's cries coming from just outside his house. Tigger and Eeyore, still wrapped in their ghostly bedsheets, tried to free Pooh from the branch. "Oh no!" Piglet cried when he saw them. "Spookable's got Pooh! I must help him! Halloween or no Halloween!" Suddenly, Piglet remembered the costume he'd made. I'll save you, Pooh!" he cried, putting it on. He stumbled outside and yelled, "Boo!" as loud as he could. Poor Eeyore and Tigger looked up in horror and ran away, leaving Pooh's costume on the branch. They ran past a startled Gopher, who was now wearing a rabbit costume. "Look out, Spookables!" they shouted. Gopher looked up just as Piglet ran into him. They both went rolling after the others. Rabbit, who had been trying to keep his remaining pumpkins dry with an umbrella, glanced up. "Not again, no!" he cried, just before Pooh, Tigger, Eeyore, Piglet, and Gopher collided with him. Costumes and pumpkin pieces went flying everywhere. Finally, the friends untangled themselves and discovered there was not a single Spookable around. Who were all the Spookables? They were. "You saved us!" Pooh told Piglet. "You're here, and the Spookables aren't. You must have chased them away." "Way to go, Piglet!" exclaimed Tigger. Piglet's friends shook his hand. "Wait half a second," Piglet said. "Tigger, you aren't dressed up as anything for Halloween." Piglet realized he'd lost his costume in all the excitement. Then he smiled. "Oh, but I am," he said. "I have decided to be Pooh's best and bravest friend." "And that," said Pooh, smiling down at Piglet, "is precisely who you are." Woohoo! Woohoo! How did you like Winnie the Pooh, Apollo?
Good.
That was a good one. Do you want to say adios to the internet on that one?
Adios!
Adios!